Alright, hello. Good evening. Or at least it's evening for me. I don't know how it is for you guys. As always, before my streams, I want to know, can you hear me alright? We will start the stream once I know that. I'll put it in, I'll put my Oblivion on. Let's see. Once I know whether you guys can hear me, we will start the stream. Yes, alright, very nice. So welcome to a new lore A.M.A stream. As always, I'm going to do my best to answer the questions that you guys ask me to the best of my capabilities, but as you guys know by now, I'm not all-knowing. Especially topics like the Towers of Tamriel, metaphysics. That's not my kind of topic, and I recommend you go to another channel for that, because my expertise is simply not in that area. So while you can answer questions, I'll answer it to the best of my capabilities. I really recommend not asking me that kind of questions, because I think the answer will not satisfy you. The answer that I'm able to give, because I'm usually not really able to give that good of an answer. That said, today it's a pre-video lore stream. Don't worry, it's not like last time where I did a stream instead of a video. I'll upload the video directly after the stream. And just like last time, I thought it'd be fun if we ended the stream, probably the last 15 minutes of the stream, with some random game. Probably Wii Sports again, like last time, because you guys really enjoyed seeing me fail at Wii Sports bowling. Anyway, I'm going to play Oblivion, and whenever you guys ask me lore A.M.A questions, I'll try to answer them. As usual, I don't really expect to come very far in Oblivion, unless you guys don't ask me questions. Because usually you guys ask me so much questions that I don't get very far into the game. Let's first, before I see any questions, look what we were doing. Find the air. Alright, we're going to Kvatch to find Martin. Bao Sheng Li says, I got back into Elder Scrolls and watched a lot of your videos in the last few weeks and love them. Well, thank you very much. It's always great to hear that when people love the videos. Let's see. Where are we? I think I know where we are, because I just saw the giant bird. Right. Alright, we were already on our way to Kvatch. That's very good. Hello everybody that's coming in. The Rex Reborn. Kiver, I think the name is. Again, you guys can ask lore questions. I'll try to answer them to the best of my capabilities. Again, I can't guarantee the answers will be good, but I can always try. At least that's my goal with these streams. Let's see. It's been a while since I played Oblivion, and I really can't get used to the PC control scheme. Because I used to always play on like my old laptop. Then I switched to Xbox 360. Or I mean the Xbox 360 version on Xbox One. And I've just been playing Oblivion there, because Oblivion with a controller is just, at least in my opinion, so much more comfortable. Game Over asks, at Imperial Knowledge, I want to know your opinion on the strongest race debate. I think it's pointless debate, as every race has its strengths and weaknesses. There's no strongest and or weaknesses, in my opinion. Well, that depends on how you say, what you mean with strong. If you mean raw strength, it's probably like the orcs or the Redguards. I personally think the orcs, they are the best in raw strength. But if you mean strength as in political strength, it's probably the Imperials. If you mean strength as in magical strength, it's the Elves. So while there are definitely strongest races in certain aspects, I think that... Right, we still... Oh god. Alright. While there are certainly in certain aspects ways in which some races can be stronger than others, I think that it's overall pretty balanced. Let's see. Hello, Taigo Marsho. Makosh, I mean. It would be nice if you play Medieval Total War Elder Scrolls mod. Yeah, I have that mod, and I can play it, but I believe I even put it in the Discord as an option while I was going to stream, but 40% of all people on the Discord voted for Oblivion, and I think 20% for the Medieval 2 Total War Elder Scrolls mod. So, unfortunately. Do we know if Haskell is a Daedra or some kind of mortal whose life has been prolonged by Sheogorath? Ask Baobab Frog. Go on. I think I remember reading a post about that, but I don't remember which one it was. I believe that it was that he was just a Daedra from created in Sheogorath's plane. But it's been too long since I read that post. Sorry, I'm just dumb. Lucas at Seog asks, oh, not the same questions from previous stream. Well, ask a better question. I mean, this is the second time in 2 weeks that I've streamed, and I want to do 1 time per week, since that's what I promised back in like beginning of the month. Unfortunately, I have a really bad time trying to get my streams set up. But as we continue streaming, I'm going to try not to ignore questions that get asked a lot, but at least make like a standard answer or something like that. As I want to answer everybody's question honestly, but at the same time I know that these kind of streams often have a core audience which is going to be here every time, and it's going to be really annoying if you only hear me talk about the same kind of topics. But right now it's the second time, so I'm going to ask certain questions. I'm going to answer certain questions regardless, unless it's like a really basic question which you can probably Google. Alright, Aussie Wazzy asks, would you recommend playing Oblivion in 2020? I got the game last year and I never got around to playing it fully, as the game's mechanics felt weird and they felt hard to get used to. Well, if you think Oblivion is weird and hard to get used to, I can't recommend Morrowind. But I think that Oblivion is definitely worth getting used to. I mean, Morrowind is also really worth getting used to, but I think it's going to be harder to get used to Morrowind than it is to Oblivion. Since Oblivion already employs a lot of mechanics. I mean, it feels dated, definitely, but I think it's very doable. Especially on PC if you mod it mod it to Oblivion, I wanted to say. But Oblivion is very doable. Morrowind, if you're not used to the kind of controls for that game and the mechanics, it's going to be even harder. But Oblivion, I think it's worth getting into, because Oblivion is a really good game, and I think it's not as hard to get into as you might think. Like, some of the mechanics, they are dated, but they're understandable, if you get what I mean. Favorite Tamriel slang asks, The Rex Reborn. Well, I would be a total noir if I said noir, but I have to say that noir has some of the best memes online, so probably that one. Alex Fella just subscribed. Yeah, that subscribing thing I still should fix. I still haven't. Also, similarly, some people last time said that Streamlabs wasn't working. Well, I have never even used the Streamlabs page, so I maybe should. I keep thinking about all these things while I'm streaming. I should have thought about this before I started streaming, but you know, I'm not a streamer. Let's see, where are we? We're good. Let's see. T1V4 asks, do the other Daedric princes have minor planes of Oblivion that they rule over, or is that just a Sanguine thing? As far as I know, all the Oblivion realms from the Daedric princes are all about the same size. But they can make it seem the same kind of size. Like, they can... God, my English. They can make their planes look as big or small as they want to. But I don't really think... I remember there being lore on this, where basically... the planes are infinite, but are under complete control of the Daedric princes. Alright, I'm so bad at answering questions and at the same time also trying to play this game. Let's see, do we know anything about the topography of the oceans on Nirn? Yes and no. Most of the oceans we don't know a lot about, but we do know exactly what the Etheric Ocean looks like, which is the ocean that borders on the Abyssinian Sea. Because in the Elder Scrolls Redguard, the spin-off after before Morrowind, there's an actual map of the ocean west of Tamriel. Yeah, west was the word I was looking for. Towards Yokuda. So we do know a bit about that. You should look it up, like the Yokuda map from Elder Scrolls Redguard. There it has some topography on the ocean. But other than that, we don't know a lot about the ocean surrounding Nirn, unless you of course go for fan maps, which there are some really good fan maps online. So I can definitely recommend checking them out, but they're of course not canon. Let's see. Do you think Emperor Titus Me II is a fool or a genius? I think a bit in the middle. Like, nobody's perfect. But at the time of Skyrim, he's at least doing the best he can, as far as we know. Yo, Zork, it's your boy Wolf. Hello, Wolf. Long time no see. Welcome to the stream. This is a boring... Let's see. Mr. Boomer, who do you think is the best Septim Emperor? I always really liked the story of Uriel V, which is the guy that basically conquered all the islands around Tamriel, including, what was the name again? Roscrea. And then, of course, died in his conquest of Akavir. I always really liked that story, I have to say. What's your favorite Bethesda game? Asked Leon Schuring. I think Skyrim, because I have such... Like, Skyrim with mods is just the best thing. Like, I know Morrowind and Oblivion definitely have better stories, and I really appreciate them for their stories and for their gameplay. But the way I've been able to mod Skyrim and the experience that I've had with modded Skyrim are just the best. In terms of vanilla, probably Oblivion for the world, because I really love this world. Like, for some reason this weird vanilla client has fog everywhere, but that could also be just the fog in the game, but the render distance is just not good. I remember having to fix it with mods back in the day when I played it for the first time on PC. But this world where you can just see the Imperial City everywhere, it's just gorgeous and I love it. Let's see, do you think there will be a DLC or game in Akavir? Maybe one day. Like, I can imagine, this is something people ask me like all the time, where, yeah, Zork, do you think that there will be an Elder Scrolls game set in Akavir? Set in Akavir, no. Definitely not. DLC in Akavir, as in open world DLC, I also think not. But I could imagine that maybe there would be like something... like a small segment of Akavir as a sort of DLC, or as a sort of flash in the past, in the same manner as you could see.
Come on, run while there's still time.
Yeah, we know. Run from what? Oh, what could it be?
Deidre overran
Deidre.
last night.
Alright, yeah, I know. Alright, let's go and assist the city guard. No, but people always ask me whether there will be again an Elder Scrolls game set in Akavir, and I think that it could be possible that we could see parts of Akavir, as in maybe in a small Elder Scrolls Online dungeon, or maybe a bit like the, how do you call it, insight into the past that we got in the Elder Scroll when we did it, when we're doing the main quest in Skyrim, where you can see the first era Nords fighting Alduin, like that, where you're standing in a static place and just watching an event. I can see that happen, where we can see something like that in Akavir, but I don't see a real game set there. Alright, let's see. Ozzy Wozzy asked, do you prefer playing Oblivion or Skyrim? For the story, probably Oblivion, but I have to be honest, modded Skyrim is just the best. I haven't played it, like, unironically for a while now, but I have such good memories of Skyrim modded. Like, at one point I just modded my file where I wasn't the Dragonborn, and I installed a farm mod and just lived on a farm. I could just hit my hoe a couple of times on the ground and then just farm vegetables. It was like the best thing. I just spent 3 days like that, three in real days, just, you know, farming my vegetables, selling my vegetables in Iverstead. It was pretty good. Do the Mead Emperors have a court battle mage like the older Elder Scrolls games? We have no idea. Actually, that's not true. We know that they have prime ministers, which seem to fulfill a bit of a similar role that the battle mages used to fulfill. So maybe they don't even have one. Leon Schuring, ik ben Nederlander, by the way. Ja, ik ook. What will happen if the Altmere Dominion takes control of Tamriel? Asks Call Me Rhino. Well, let's debate it. Some people think that they will unmake Nirn, or unmake Mundus. And other people think that they will simply try to sort of oppress all the humans. I personally think the second. But If you think the first, that's up to you. I think that it will just oppress all the humans because in the Elder Scrolls novels, they quite literally say that their goal is to bring back the Meretic era, or as it's more commonly known, because the Meretic era literally means era of elvish dominance, or era of Mer dominance, if that makes sense. Yeah, let's just go into the Oblivion Gate. We're going to help. Alright, let's go to the gate. Let's do this. Any predictions for the next Elder Scrolls? I'm not gonna do that. Probably. Well, okay, I'm gonna do it. It's not a prediction, but more like a hope. If it's really Hammerfell, let us sail around in boats, just like Elder Scrolls, just like Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Let's see. What mods do you recommend for Skyrim? Lean Wolf, better shaped weapons. Oh god, I need to help him. And also boost bottles, which is a really cool one. And also books, book covers. Because there's one mod which basically takes all the vanilla books in Skyrim and gives them a unique cover, which is an amazing mod. I really can't play this game without it anymore. Or that game, actually, because I'm not playing Skyrim right now. Let's see. Who's your favorite hero of the Elder Scrolls games? For me, it's the hero of Kvatch, as he's not a prophesized hero, just a dude happening to be at the right place at the right time. Yeah, same. I really like the hero of Kvatch just for that reason. And that's why I also hope that in the Elder Scrolls 6 will be another just random dude helping out the real hero. In this case, Martin Septim, but maybe someone else in the Elder Scrolls 6, of course. Ben Deacon asks, could you imagine us getting any more lore on the Sinistral Elves in the Elder Scrolls 6 if it's based in Hammerfell? Yeah. If it's based in Hammerfell, we'll definitely learn more about Yokuda, and in turn, probably also about the Sinistral Elves, which are the left-handed elves, as they are more commonly known, which were the native elves of Yokuda. There are also other theories on that, but that's my theory on it. Do you think the orcs will try to remake Orsinium? Asks someone whose name I'm not even going to try pronounce. They already have. Right now in lore, there's Orsinium, which is still part of the Empire as far as we know, which is positioned somewhere in the mountains between Skyrim and Hammerfell on the Hammerfell side. So, yeah, they already have. Let's see, Anti-Nightcore and more stuff asks, what will happen if the Empire wins the Second Great War? I hope so. Likely, if they win, it depends how you define winning the Second Great War. If you mean with win, just completely annihilate the Altmeri armies, I think that would at least mean that the White Gold Concordat would be undone, and maybe some parts of Elsewhere would be returned to the Empire, or at least Elsewhere would be made independent again, so not as a client state of the Altmeri Dominion. But I don't think that there's a realistic scenario in which the Empire could just invade Valenwood at the current moment, or D-Day Somerset Isles. I don't really see it happening, to be honest. But you could have different opinions on that. I mean, Bethesda can also just write it differently, so who knows. Let's see, Bruno Adler asks your opinion on ESO. I like ESO a bit. Just not very much of an MMO guy. You need to be an MMO guy to really do ESO. But I do have... I can play it for periods of time, but then in other periods of time, I'm just really not into it. I don't know, it's one of those games which I play for a period of time, keep it, and then not for a long period of time, and then play it again. Alright, sorry if I missed some questions, but I'm gonna go back to the bottom of the chat. Let's see. Call Me Rhino asks, could an independent Skyrim survive? How could they ally with the Empire? Just asking, I'm with the Empire. Well, I think that if an independent Skyrim allies themselves with the Empire, they have a good chance of surviving. Depends on how pragmatic the Emperor is, because I personally think that if the Skyrim Civil War goes into a Stormcloak favor, I think it would be best to just ally with the Empire against the common threat of the Thalmor. I mean, Ulfric basically says as much, that the Thalmor are the biggest enemies, and that he doesn't really have anything against the Empire, he just doesn't want it ruling Skyrim. Let's see, Daniel Pavlik asks, do you think / would you prefer for Elder Scrolls 6 to be before Elder Scrolls 5 or even before Elder Scrolls 4? I would prefer it to be after, to be honest. Because we want to, at least I want to know how the story with the Thalmor will continue. Ben Deacon asks, who do you think is the most underdeveloped character in the Elder Scrolls series? Personally, I think that's Archcurate Vurther from Dung. Huh. Yeah, definitely. So from the top of my head, I wouldn't really know anyone, but now that you say it, I would definitely want to know more about Werther. Definitely. What's your favorite race in Tamriel? Imperial. If it wasn't really obvious from my name, probably. General Major 55 asks, how are you? Pretty good. Sitting at home. Not doing much, except for streaming at the moment. Other than that, I'm very busy with both university, work, trying to make videos. 2 videos per week, which is kind of hard. As I had expected quarantine to be less busy. Turns out that my university and my work are both continuing, and that I've been labeled essential staff because I'm one of the few who can... Where is the scamp on there? As I'm one of the few who can actually explain physics to the children at work, so it's one of those things. Let's see, D-Day on Somerset, yeah. Let's see, Imperial knowledge. Do the aliens use airships? It's a major thing in the Elder Scrolls Shadowkey. Oh god. Oh no, what's the magic button? This is what happens when I don't watch my own gameplay. Oh no, did it really just... This is what happens when you die and you haven't saved in a while. This is quite painful. Alright, we're gonna quick save a lot the coming moments. This is embarrassing. We are right back where we started. This is not good. And so, the crusade starts again. This time... oh god. We're going to walk again. Alright, let's see. Yeah, Ataro asked, were airships a thing with the aliens? We know that they were a thing from the Elder Scrolls Shadowkey, but we don't know how big the impact was, because other than Shadowkey, there isn't any lore on the aliens using them. There's lore on the Dwemer using airships, but even for the Dwemer, it doesn't seem that it was that large of a part of their society, because there were only a few prototypes. But maybe if the Dwemer had existed for longer, they might have used more airships. Would you recommend playing Morrowind in 2020 without mods? I would always recommend playing Morrowind. To be honest, yeah, I'm one of the few people who doesn't... like it's hard to get into considering the mechanics if you're used to more modern games. But I've never really been bothered by it, to be honest. I just played Morrowind for the story, which you can also perfectly experience without mods. I often play it on my Xbox now because it's backwards compatible with the disc I have from the old Xbox. So yeah, I would definitely recommend playing it, but that really depends on what kind of person you are. Who's governing Hammerfell right now? Asks Game Over. What kind of political system do we have? 2 factions, the Crowns and the Forebears. We don't know if they have a High King of sorts. And we don't know the exact political system as far as I know, or at least from the top of my head. Favorite Elder Scrolls minor villain? Favorite minor villain? That's a hard one. I don't know the answer, and there's so much questions. All right, I'm gonna go. Sorry, if I skipped your question, please type it again because I can't see them all. The slowed use airships. Yeah, indeed, Martijn Bakker. That's true. Sorry, I forgot in all of them. There's something going on with Lul, and I don't want to know what it is. Radical Caffeine asks, I would love to focus on your gameplay and Imperial knowledge, but I'm busy with assignments. I'll listen to your podcast as an ASMR. Well, if you missed the previous parts of gameplay, you could just, you know, watch now, because I just died and I forgot to save. But yeah, totally. Like, the gameplay is not the important part here, because I'm skipping through dialogue, etc. So you can just listen if you want. And if you have a question, you can just ask. Notorious J asks, how hard is it to get into Morrowind? Really depends on your standards. Morrowind's one of those games where if you go into it completely blind and you don't have any expectations, like you don't put the gameplay of Skyrim or Oblivion against it, it's not too hard to get into once you get like the dice roll mechanic, etc. But I wouldn't recommend it if you're one of the people who has a really hard time to get into dated games, because if Oblivion already feels dated to you, if you look at this gameplay, you're gonna find Morrowind even more dated. Let's see. Is there any lore about the leader of the A.M.A Dominion? I made a video on that, so I recommend watching that. Short answer, if you don't want to watch the video, is there's no direct lore on the leader, but we know that it's governed by some sort of council, and I had some speculations on who might be on that and how the general structure is, but there's no definite lore on it. Ozim asked, hey, there is an obscure piece of Kirkbride lore. I haven't read Kirkbride lore, I'm sorry. It's one of those things that, I don't know, I tried, but it doesn't really interest me. I know that completely devaluates me as a lore YouTuber, I'm sorry, but that's why my expertise is not there. My expertise is more with Tamrielic politics, as most of you know. I think you would be a great emperor if you lived in Tamriel. Well, I would probably be a dictator. Nah, that was a joke. Let's see, personally I think Hammerfell is a confederacy of allied petty kingdoms. I personally think that it's more of a confederacy of two larger unions, where several petty kingdoms are in a union that's called the Crowns, and several petty kingdoms are in a union called the Forebears, and those two unions have a sort of overall government together. I personally think that Hammerfell is more or less split into two nations, or it's like a confederacy. What are your hopes for the story of Elder Scrolls 6, if any? Well, we talked about that earlier in the stream. That just like in Oblivion, that you're just a random guy who's helping the hero, like you're helping Martin Septim in this game. Because I like the Chosen One stick. I like the part where you're just a random guy who ends up in the right place in the right time. I like that more. Alright, sorry, going to the bottom of the chat again. Why not fast travel to the Kvatch camp? Well, because I can totally do that. I forgot that you could do that in Oblivion. That's... oh god. Hello!
Come on!
Yeah, we spoke to you before, but I died. Alright, gonna quick... oh fuck. Gonna quick save real quickly. Did the Empire or the Dominion use... mercenaries during the Great War? They probably did. We can reasonably speculate that they did. What do you think of the TES lore subreddit? I never go there because I don't use Reddit, but I've heard some pretty nasty things about it. Or at least I heard that the community is pretty toxic. Again, I don't have any first-hand experiences because I have a Reddit account and I'm probably subbed to that subreddit actually, but I never look on it, so I can't really give any review of the subreddit. But from what I've heard, the subreddit can be pretty toxic. Did the we already read that. Would you like /love/hate for the Elder Scrolls 6 that Sheogorath, we did a quest for him and that he teleported the player to the Hinge or the Shivering Isles and you could just scout it? I would like that, I think. Mike Green asks, oh god, it's Implacable Patron. Oh, this question is hard. Inexplicable Patron, Mephala book quote. Some of them do perceive mortals as mere playthings, but I do not suspect this of Mephala. Do you agree with this? No, not really. I think... oh, so many questions. Do you think the Elder Scrolls 6 will introduce more lore or features with Shadow Magic or Azra Nightwielder? If it's in Hammerfell, and if the speculated crater in the Elder Scrolls 6 teaser is indeed Azra's crater, then yes, definitely. If not, I don't think they will. I like Arthas lore. Yeah, again, I don't have any concrete experiences on Arthas lore. I just heard that from people, and I don't use Reddit a lot, so... Ben Deacon asks, can you imagine further conflicts within Morrowind and Argonia before the Elder Scrolls 6? I can imagine it happening, but it depends on the location on Tamriel. It might be that Bethesda just decides not to do much with the lore on that side and just makes a quick few sentences on it and not anything else. Alright. You know what, I'll just go in. Could the Dwemer conquer all of Tamriel? Maybe at their height they could have tried. But at the later stages definitely not, because they oh god, they degenerated pretty badly after some point. Like when the Dwemer got extinct, I really shouldn't play gameplay and try to. Right. So when the Dwemer all disappeared, they were no longer on their high point. Their high point was way earlier in history. They had a lot of civil wars behind them at that point. Please stop with the don't get vaccinated thing. It's just annoying. We're not here for political chat. We're here for Elder Scrolls. Let's see. Thoughts on A.M.A and banning... Again, I don't use Reddit. I'm sorry, Jay. Hello, yeah, I know. We talked about this before. Have some US government... I don't get this. El Presidente, thank you very much for your donation. But if you do a donation, at least ask a question so I can answer it. Because now I just feel bad. Oh, wait, is he... I clicked the wrong thing, didn't I? Alright, just wait here. Don't move. You're gonna die otherwise. Don't move, okay? Well, my message is gone. What do you mean your message is gone?
Just got my tax returns to have some US government money.
Oh, thank you for your government money. Alright. Radical Caffeine says, well, my message is gone. Please type your message again then. I'm sorry. Kick the vaccine, guys, please. I'm not really doing kicking unless people are really being... oh, God. Alright. How do I get out of this game? Alright. Let's see, we're going to return to Elder Scrolls. What do you think of the Bethesda firmly confirming that the Last Dragonborn and the Reverend and the others are not the same person? Like they did with Nelot, telling the Last Dragonborn they're too young to remember the Reverend. I think that's good. Because the Reverend and the Dragonborn, it would be weird if all the heroes of the Elder Scrolls series would be the same person. At least that's my opinion. Like, I know that there are some people who really like the idea. And I've read some of the posts about it. And I have to say, some people make compelling arguments, but I just like every hero to be a fresh adventure. I mean, especially where there's centuries between some of the games. I don't know. Just my opinion. Let's see. Nikolai Jurican asked, which Daedric Prince do you think will be in the game? Do you mean Elder Scrolls 6? Probably at least Maroon's Dagon again. And probably Molech Ball, because... Or maybe not. Because Molech Ball had such a large role in Elder Scrolls Online, but... I really can't speculate on that. I mean, it just depends on what Bethesda thinks can have a good or fun idea for quests. Let's see, we're gonna save here, because last time we died here. Controls. I wanna see, what was my magic button again? Cast C, of course it was. I am so dumb. You have no idea. Some fans over on our Tesla are loaded, thinking it ruins their headcanon, switching that their OC is the hero of all the Elder Scrolls games. I mean, if you want to do that, fine. I'm not gonna forbid you. I just think it isn't that there. Oh, there he is. I just think that every hero is just a separate person. But if you want to think otherwise, I mean, I'm not gonna stop you. Don't forget to save. Yeah, I just did, and I'm doing it again. Don't worry. I'm new to the stream. Are you playing with any mods? No, it's fully vanilla Stropha, because I had to do a complete vanilla install, because when I wanted to start streaming Oblivion 2 weeks ago, I just failed, because it was modded so badly that it just crashed before I could even start up. I missed some sort of file. So that's why we're here on a vanilla. Who becomes Emperor after Titus Mead II dies? We know that it's a dude. That it's not an Empress. Because once the Emperor Titus Mead II is dead, you can still join the Imperial Legion, after which General Tullius wants you to make a vow to the Emperor instead of Emperor Titus Mead II. So we know that it's a man and not an empress, but we don't know. What do you think about the theory of Uriel Septim V surviving Akavir? It was a valid theory back in the day, but since Bethesda hasn't validated it, they had the idea of letting the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim questline be about Uriel returning with his dragons. But since they didn't do that, because I believe there was a direct quote of one of them saying, of somebody in Bethesda saying, that would have been weird, or that would have been very unrealistic. Oh god. He just spawned in thin air. I think since they did that it's no longer really a valid theory, since it's been literally discarded by Bethesda themselves. But I always liked the theory before. El Presidente, alright, I ask a question. So you don't feel bad. Yeah, thanks. Does Sheogorath's dialogue in Skyrim hint towards the most canon Elder Scrolls protagonist yet? Because it assumed he is that the hero of Kvatch, that he mentions... yeah. There's a lot of debate over that one, with Sheogorath basically confirming that he is the hero of Kvatch, or at least that he has the memories of. But I think that on Bethesda's part that was a pretty blatant confirmation, but then again fans still fight over it, and it's still left to interpretation. So, while I think it's true, I know that there's a lot of theories and a lot of people that just despise the idea of it being true. And I don't really remember the arguments that I used to read, but I remember reading some discussions on it. Alright, die bitch. Oh god, now I'm demonetized. Bring it. This Dremora looked like Darth Maul from Star Wars. I don't know, it just... let's see. Should be traveling by boat be available in the Elder Scrolls 6? Yeah, I want that. Why do the Argonians and the Khajiit look like cat and lizards? There's really no explanation for that. There's just... Bethesda had the idea to do it that way, and that's why they did it. At least I don't believe there's an explanation for it. I mean, for the Argonians there's kind of an explanation, since they have been designed by the Hist to be adapted to swamp life, so that's why you could say that they are reptiles and that they are amphibious. But why the exact resemblance with lizards? There's no real explanation for it. I forgot that there are camels in Tamriel. Yeah, there are camels in Tamriel. Let's see. Notorious J. I always thought the line about pledging allegiance to an emperor after Mead's death to be Bethesda just not writing an alternative line. Yeah, that's probably true. Oh, thank you, Call Me Rhino, for the donation. But you too didn't ask a question. Well, you should do that with a question, with a donation, so I can answer it. Yeah, Notorious J, I agree that that's probably the reason why it's in there. The problem is, it is still in there. And he says literally emperor, meaning that there is an emperor at that point, most likely. Or, otherwise he would say empress. It's kind of... How I would like to call it, it's like rowing with the oars that we have, or however you say that in English. We say in Dutch, roeien met de riemen die we hebben. Meaning that that's the lore we got, or at least that's the dialogue we have, so we gotta work with it. Even though the reason it's in there is probably not because it's directly something they thought about. How do you think of the High Elves? Well, it's one of my favorite races, although that's very unpopular in the community. Oh boy, where are you? Oh, there. I just don't like Oblivion's combat. I don't know. I kind of like Skyrim's combat. I mean, it's kind of the same, but just this slashing. I don't know, I don't really like it. Do you think the Dragonborn will be in Elder Scrolls 6? Asked Anthony Smith. Very sure he won't be. Very sure he won't be. Because Bethesda has been very adamant about letting their heroes not do anything canon after... or at least nothing impactful canon after the questlines have ended, for example. In the Reverine we knew he went to Akavir, but what he did there, we have no idea. There's nothing impactful after the gameplay ended. Is Bethesda getting lazier each game, or is it just me? Not just you. At least people perceive it as getting lazier. Let's see. Alright. Hello. Sup, bro? Right, we have to get the key. Yeah, are we gonna open this shit? Or are we not gonna... I didn't save. Oh wait, I did. Auto save. Yeah. In the cage over here. Yeah, I know. Hold your horses, rodeo man. Okay.
Quickly.
Wait, what did you say again?
Get to the. Don't worry about.
All right. Do you think that the debate between Thaler's worship will keep going on in the Elder Scrolls 6? It might play a role, but I don't think it will take as central of a position as in Skyrim. Outside of the Elder Scrolls, what's your favorite game franchise? The Elder Scrolls isn't my favorite game franchise. You wish it was, although I'm really into Elder Scrolls. I think it's The Legend of Zelda. I don't know. There aren't many games I get so hyped about new announcements as Zelda. Just disregard me already as a real Elder Scrolls lore channel. In the Elsewhere chapter of ESO, you are killing dragons, and dialogue implies that they are dead for good, but aren't dragons immortal and can they only be killed by a Dragonborn? Indeed, they are immortal and can only really be killed by a Dragonborn, so they simply aren't really dead. Unless the Vestige in Elder Scrolls Online is also a Dragonborn, but they aren't being... They don't absorb their soul, so... No. Do you think that... Oh, right, I already read that one. High Elves are massively popular, at least for the female audience. Yeah, I know. But... On the lore forums, people will usually get angry when you say that you like the High Elves, because, you know, Thalmor are bad. But, I don't know, I really like the lore surrounding them, and I don't know. My first ever Skyrim playthrough was a high elf. That was before I knew that the Thalmor existed, but still. Did you make your own intro for your videos? No, a friend of mine got me a template, or at least I don't know if he made it or not. I don't remember. Might be that he made it, and then I could just get the images and the text in there. I'm not that good at animation. How exactly are Mundus and Oblivion separated? In the Arubis, but how exactly? I don't know. You should ask Mr. Aramithius. He has his own YouTube channel and he knows all this kind of things. El Presidente asks, in the Thalmor dossier on Ulfric they mention him being an uncooperative asset. And mention sending indirect aid. If Ulfric found the Thalmor thought of him like this, would it change his mind? Good question. I would really want to... Recently I read that report again because somebody mentioned it in a little lore debate that I was having with someone. And I had the exact same question and I don't know how he would react. But I had the exact same thought where I was like, how would he think of that? What would he think of it when he knew the Thalmor thought of him like that? I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about. I don't know how to answer it because it's one of those things that I like to know myself, but I can't really answer. Give me all the gold. Let's try it third time. Alright, third time's the charm. Now I read it. Do you think it will be easier for the Thalmor to invade the Imperial City, considering that the Empire probably doesn't have enough money to build a big enough fleet to contest the Thalmor? I think that these kind of questions are very hard to answer, and at the same time, you don't know whether the Empire has enough money or not to build the fleet. We don't know whether the Empire has the resources or not. Because, remember, it's been 30 years. Like, we accepted Germany into NATO within 30 years of the Second World War. In 30 years, a whole lot of things can happen. Especially in like a medieval country, like the Empire. So, we don't know. Could be that they do have. Could be that they don't. We don't know. At Imperial Knowledge, definitely tag me when you want to ask a question because it stands out a lot more. At Imperial Knowledge asks, sorry, I'm not going to be able to pronounce your name. I'm so sorry. Why do you think the High Elves in ESO look so different than in the other games? It's just a design thing. I mean, look at the Orcs in Oblivion and Dark Elves in Oblivion. They look so different from anything in Skyrim, and at the same time they also look different from what they looked in Morrowind. So it's just a design thing, to be honest. To be fair, the ESO versions, as far as we know, are not necessarily the thing that Bethesda will use for the Elder Scrolls 6, because we've seen them reuse Skyrim's looks for Elder Scrolls Blades, which is the latest Bethesda made, Bethesda Game Studios made Elder Scrolls game. So, but it's just a design thing. Like pointy ears, yellow skin, that's the High Elves. What's your favorite Zelda game? Mine is Twilight Princess because of the villains like Zant. Gonna completely retweet your answer. Mine is Twilight Princess because of villains like Zant. Besides the empires, Hard and Cyrodiil, the continent's most fertile in a certain location, as well as where a lot of wealth concentrates. Yes, that's true. Oh, help. Mr. Comrade 2000, I don't know why, but thank you very much, and I'm gonna try to answer your question, but let's wait for the text-to-speech.
On Argonians and their possibilities in the next Elder Scrolls. Will they get new abilities, or will there be more water-related tasks? What would you like to see as far as they go?
Alright, I got traumatized because I feel really bad about even accepting this. But thank you, Comrade 2000, really thank you a lot, and I don't know why you would do this. But I'll try to answer your question to the best of my capabilities. Alright, I'm a bit dumbfounded right now. Alright, hey, what's your opinion on Argonians and their possibilities in the next Elder Scrolls? Will they get new abilities, or will there be more water-related tasks? What do you think, see as far as they go? Alright, that depends fully. Okay, that depends fully on whether where the game will be set. If we're going to get a game in Hammerfell, I don't think we will get a lot of new Argonian lore and a lot of new Argonian things in terms of gameplay. Also, I don't think we will get specific Argonian missions, because that's one thing that I really doubt, because they never really do special racial missions. They usually just do special racial, like, dialogue options. But maybe if we have a Black Marsh game, which it's unlikely at this point considering the Elder Scrolls 6 teaser, but if it's still Black Marsh, or maybe if it contains a part of Black Marsh, we might see some things that are, for example, only accessible to Argonians because of their ability to what's the word? Hold their breath in the water. Like, they can swim underwater indefinitely. That's the thing I was searching for. English, not my native language. So yeah, in that case, if we get a Black Marsh game, we will definitely get an expansion on Argonians. But if we get a Hammerfell game, I think Bethesda will not even bother. But we might still. I can't say for sure that we will get anything new or that we won't get anything new. But I think that if it's really Hammerfell, like so many people suspect, I don't think there will be a lot of new Argonian content. Alright, now that I've recovered a bit from the shock, please, Mr. What was your name again? God, I just died. Wait a second. Alright, I can't see your name anymore, but if I see your profile picture, please ask more questions, because I feel so bad about this, man. I feel so bad about this. Why do you do this? Notorious J asks, do you think the Fox people from Argonia will ever come back? I don't think they will. Maybe in something like... Maybe, like I said before, with Akavir, where we could maybe see it in like a flashback. I think that it's possible for us to see them in a flashback, but I don't think they will return. Because in the Elder Scrolls Online, which is a couple of years after their extinction, there's already a big... we already no longer see anything of them anymore. Like, we see the Kothringi, but we don't see the Lilmuthid. So I don't think they will return. What do you think the Nerevarine did or is doing in Akavir? Nothing relevant. because Bethesda doesn't really like to do relevant things with their heroes post-gameplay. Would you prefer Hammerfell or High Rock? Personally, Hammerfell, because it would be very different. We haven't had a desert setting yet. Well, I think that High Rock would be a lot like Oblivion in terms of surroundings. Oh yeah, right. Comrade 2000. Argonians are your favorite, obviously. Yeah, well, I noticed, but please ask more questions, because I feel really bad about your donation. Holly Rowland says, yo, I followed your thing, Instagram, the public Skyrim thing. Very cool, I remember. I like the stream, so the algorithm picks it up, guys. Well, please don't, because it's in your best interest not to like this stream and not have the algorithm pick it up, because the more people are watching, the more questions will come in, and the less questions I can answer percent-wise. So I don't really understand why you would want anyone more to watch this, Jay. Let's see. Why do you think the Hist only made the Argonians super powerful during the Oblivion crisis as opposed to all of the time? Well, that depends on what you mean all powerful. The Hist have an interest in defending their own land, which at the moment is Blackmarsh. They don't really... Like, the same with the Ancilil. They don't really have an interest for the rest of Tamriel, or what goes on there. So, why be all-powerful and be a threat to the others, if that makes sense? And while you can also just bide your time in your own house, or, well, in your own land. Especially since they don't really seem interested in the rest of Tamriel. Although, parts of the Blackwood in Cyrodiil, they might be interested in, because it's basic... Dude, come back. Alright then, bye. Alright, let's see. Do you think we'll ever get some more Orsinium content? If we get Hammerfell, sure, because current Orsinium is in Hammerfell, Daniel McCardle. Let's see, do you think there will ever be a space war between the Dominion and the Empire? No. Sorry, I don't think that will ever happen. I would like to say it would be, because it would be fun. But, I don't think it would be. I'm sorry. I see my memories of Oblivion held up better than the graphics did, says Sorel R. Yes, but... in my honest opinion, I think that this kind of Oblivion, which is like more cartoony, holds up a whole lot better than vanilla Skyrim on, for example, the 360 and the PS3. 360 and PS3 Skyrim just looks really bad at the moment, while Oblivion, because of the cartoony graphics, at least in my opinion, holds up a lot better. Like, the Oblivion art style, while the graphics aren't good, the art style holds up a lot better in a dated game, because I didn't go for a realistic tone. Let's see. Where geographically is Orsinium? I answered that before on the stream. It's right now in the mountains between Skyrim and Hammerfell, as far as we know. Radical caffeine. It's entirely possible, but Bethesda and ZeniMax decided on making them extinct. Yeah, exactly. Don't feel bad. I'm gonna ask a ton of questions, and besides, you earned it. Thank you, Comrade 2000. I also really recommend sending me an email or Discord with more questions, because I don't know for how long I'll be streaming anymore, and I feel really bad about all this. So, please, make me not feel bad about this. Let's see. Yeah, Oblivion's art style is neat. Yeah, I agree. The character models are the worst in Oblivion. Yeah, I think that if they ever decide on remastering Oblivion, they don't really need to work on the art style. Like, of course, they have to get, like, higher resolution textures in there. But the one thing they really need to work on is the character models. And, of course, like, shadows, EMB, and that kind of shit. But still, I think that the art style holds up relatively well, because they went for a more cartoony thing. It's the same reason why, for example, games like Super Mario Galaxy, which is like a 2006 game for the Wii, if you up-res that, it still holds up really well, because it's a cartoony art style. It's not trying to go for realistic, because whenever you go for a realistic art style and your game dates, it just gets ugly. Of course, I was looking at the chat, and then this happens. I think a setting during the height of the Hist and ancient Argonian civilization would be great. Yeah, it is, because we don't know a whole lot about the Zanmir civilization that the Argonians had during the early First Era, no, not early First Era, that they had during the Meretic Era. And I would like to see that. Like, we only see the pyramids, but we don't know what the civilization exactly looked like. Yeah, Orsinium could be a location for a DLC, Radical Caffeine. Which DLC did you like more, Dawnguard or Dragonborn? Dawnguard. Dragonborn was cool, especially Soulstime, with seeing all the Morrowind references. But I have a special connection to the Dawnguard story. It was really good in comparison to most Elder Scrolls stories in Skyrim, at least. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything about Morrowind or Oblivion, because those stories were far more in depth. Yay, we got a Sigil Stone. Whoa, everything explodes. Maybe we should get out of here. Oh boy, we did. Let's see. Do you think the orc tribes would be better if they were to lead by an if they were led by an orc wise woman? It depends on what you mean. It depends on how you define better. The orcs really like heroic stuff and fighting and that kind of stuff. So, in terms of that, probably not. But in terms of being more peaceful and better administrated, probably yeah. Let's see. I prefer the art style of some enemies too, like the Spriggans look really nice. Yeah, same. Cormet 2000. I'm just sitting in my room playing a D&D campaign. So if you got sucked into the Elder Scrolls and got to choose a non-human race to be, which would it be? Good question. Non-human race. I would say High Elf. Because I really like the Somerset Isles design. I like the lore of that part. Do you think the Empire will conquer Tamriel again, even more like Yukuda, or even Atmora? What do you think about the League? That's a lot of questions in one. Do I think the Empire will conquer Tamriel again? Nope. And I also hope that they won't, because I really like the idea of having more political actors on Tamriel than just the Empire, just controlling it all. I don't know. Yeah, Holy Rollins, I remember. I said that when you entered the stream. Let's see. One of the biggest problems I have with Bethesda writing is that most of the people are unbelievable. Yeah, I kind of feel you in that. But on the other hand, it's fantasy. So, it's not meant to be believable. It's meant to be fun in the end. And I think that it does a good job at that. But indeed, if you're looking for a more realistic fantasy universe, you could do better than Elder Scrolls. But if you're looking for a fun universe, well, that's why we're all here. Let's see. Dawnguard's exploration of an all-new plane of Oblivion and Falmer lore made it good in my book. Yeah, but I don't know, man. I just really like the idea of Dawnguard, and I like the questline. I don't know. It just always resonated with me. Don't ask me why. I don't really have a good explanation for it either. Another good idea for a DLC would be Black Harbor. Yeah, that would be a good location. You could do like Black Harbor and Inslia and Katnakane, those islands, if you had a game on the eastern side of Tamriel. That would be a good idea. Wish West Skyrim was still held by the still surviving and fighting Falmer. What do you mean? Oh god, the chat goes so quickly. Axe or sword? Considering I picked High Elf before, I think sword. Because High Elves aren't really the axe type of people. Let's see. Is the Arcturian heresy true or elven lies? I have no idea. That's left to interpretation in the games, and thus I don't really have a concrete opinion on it. I'd say it could be true, could be untrue, and it's up to you what you think of the different arguments around it. So I need to drink something real quickly. I don't really talk that much usually, so my throat is a bit sore. Alright. Next question. How do you think the forebears are doing after the Great War, since most of their holdings were in southern Hammerfell? I think they're definitely doing worse than the Crowns if their holdings around the 4th era were really in the south. But you do need to remember that Hammerfell already had an extensive civil war behind them, and that we don't know the current layout of the kingdoms there. Because every border could have changed, and we don't know anything about it. And I think that they did the whole civil war thing on relative purpose. Just so they could just if it's Elder Scrolls 6 in Hammerfell, which I think it might be, that they could just completely redefine the borders in Hammerfell. Daniel McArdle asks, is there a known amount of Elder Scrolls? Nope. We don't know how many there are. And it's one of the points where nobody can know. They can't even be counted, as far as I remembered. Anthony Smith asks, do you think the Sentinel backstory will be explored more? What do you mean? Please elaborate on your question. Anam Baraka asks, what is your opinion on the theory that Gaunt or Odim is a daydream? That's The Witcher. Next question. Ninja Nub. I think the better word would be grounded rather than believable. Yeah, sorry, that was the thing I was looking for. But then again, I'm not an English native, so I'm sorry. My vocabulary isn't as great as some people seem to think it is. Like, I know some complex words, but it's just because they are in my university books. But other than that, my vocabulary is really not that good. What plane of Oblivion that we haven't seen would you like to see in the Elder Scrolls 6? I would like to see the Quagmire, which is not the guy from Family Guy, but which is Vermina's plane. Did you imagine what the Elder Scrolls game spin-off, like the Elder Scrolls Adventures or Blades, could... what kind of... alright, my English again. What kind of spin-offs could they do? I'd always like to see like an official Elder Scrolls Total War. I just want that. And the mod for Medieval 2 is really good, but I would really like to see an official one. What is the Arcturian heresy and why people keep mentioning it? I'd recommend Googling it, because it's not my expertise, and I do know a few things about it, but I don't want to misinform you if you don't know anything about it yet. So, I recommend either asking it to someone who is a real, who is a real expert in that part of the lore, or Googling it before listening to my meaning about it, because I'm too afraid to misinform you on the topic, since it's been so long since I studied that, and I never really found it too interesting. I wish the Falmer were still around unbetrayed. Yeah, Radical Caffeine. I agree to some extent. Like, I would have loved to see more alive snow elves in the Forgotten Vale, but I wouldn't have liked it if they were all over Skyrim. But that's just my opinion. Fumark asks, do you think House Lalu will ever return to Provenance? I don't think they will, because House Lalu is mostly dead. Is there a difference between having dragon blood and being dragonborn? That's debatable. Some people think no, some people think yes. It's one of those things also kept vague. I personally think that there's a difference, because I don't think every emperor of the Septim dynasty could have shouted, while they could all light the dragon fires. But again, what do I know? I'm just a random guy. Alright, let's see. I hope they add more diversity in armor and weapons as well. Favorite magic school? Probably not Conjuration. I think Illusion. I think I like. Good evening, lads. Hello, Periotics. Long time no see. Do you prefer being a werewolf or a vampire? Vampire, and that's completely because of Dawnguard, because I have a weak spot for Dawnguard. Do you think the Thalmor will be in the Elder Scrolls 6? Asks Lorenzo Orange. Yeah, definitely. I mean, with all the spin-offs, with Elder Scrolls Legends, with Blades, and of course with Skyrim most prominently, and in the Elder Scrolls novels, they've sort of been building towards the Thalmor as this sort of great enemy, but they've never really elaborated on it. Like, they've been like the side enemy, but never really the prime enemy. Of course, in Legends, then there was this one, there was like the base main story, which had Narafin as the main enemy. But they never really expanded on their real goals. They never really expanded on their true size. So they've sort of been building towards the Thalmor as this overarching enemy over the series. So I think that Elder Scrolls 6 will have the Thalmor. Let's see. Holly Rowlands, if an 11th playable race was added, which do you think would be most likely / viable? I always see this question. It's not being asked to me, but I always see it online, on like polls and stuff. Or questions. But I've never really thought about it. An 11th race. I think the Marmer, the Sea Elves, because they've already made an appearance in the Elder Scrolls Online. So they've sort of been defined what they are. We know sort of how their society functions. So if we get a game on Valenwood, for example, or Somerset Isles, I think that Marmer, if they add an 11th playable race, and I don't think they will, but if, I think that the Marmer could be a good guess. I blame the Empire for the fall of House Lalu. Yeah. It's one of the causes. Hello. Martin. Oh wait, right. He was right there. We just walked past him. I've been busy with so many questions, man. It's... Alright. At Imperial Knowledge. My dad said you sound like... My dad said you sound like his colleague. Do you live in Rockersville? No, I don't. I live in the Netherlands. So... I don't try and time travel back and forth between Rockersville. I wish I could. Are the novels worth a read? Definitely. Especially in this whole quarantine situation. I can definitely recommend reading them. I'm not allowed to say that, but it's probably illegal. But there's actually audiobooks of the novels all over YouTube. I believe at least there was like a year ago. And you can download PDFs anywhere, so I can really recommend reading them, as they give so much insight into the early stages of the 4th era and into the early parts of the Mede Empire. If you're interested in that kind of lore, do it. Let's see, where's Martin? Oh, there he is. So, bro.
Have you brought help?
Come with me, you're in danger.
Of course, I assume...
Oh, Martin,
yeah,
right.
If all this is part of a divine
This is
plan.
Sean Bean. I like this. There's a plan. We're part of it.
I prayed. What?
You're Uriel the Septim's son. Yeah. Right, let's see. Let's go to our boys. Let's see, more questions. Perhaps if the Thalmor rise to prominence in the Elder Scrolls 6, the Marmor could play some sort of smaller role in the game / lore. Maybe in like DLC. We don't know. Could be. Could not be. Where would you want the Elder Scrolls 7 to take place? I would like to see... Oh boy, Elder Scrolls 7. That's like... I might be dead before then. What would I want my grandchildren to play? I'd like to see Elsewhere or Blackmarsh. Because they're just so different from the rest of the provinces. I mean, Somerset Isles too, but the way that Elder Scrolls Online established Somerset Isles... I mean, Bethesda could, of course, just completely differ from that, their interpretation of it. But I'd like to see Elsewhere or Blackmarsh. But preferably Blackmarsh if it's indeed Hammerfell, because we've already had Desert then. Let's see. What do you think of the Thalmor searching for Stalrim? Well, it's a good question. I actually covered this in one of my videos. I think that it's just the Thalmor searching for... Like, for the people that don't know, there's a quest on Solstheim in the Dragonborn DLC where the Thalmor are searching for Stalrim on Solstheim and searching for the secrets of Stalrim on Solstheim. My interpretation of this always has been that they are simply searching for something that will give them an edge over the Empire. In this case, Stalrim. Just like Ancano is searching in the college for magical things to give them an edge. Just like how the Empire with the Synod is searching during the Winterhold questline for some magical artifact that gives them an edge. They're sort of searching for things that will give them an edge over the other. And I think that Stalrim is an example of this for the Thalmor. Please save the city of Kvatch. Yeah, I probably should.
I just can't sleep.
Do not abandon it. Well, I could.
Close the gate.
We could just do another
I need
quest
you
line.
to do it. I need you to come with us. Are you
Yeah,
ready to
I'm
join
going
us?
to come. Don't worry. Let's go.
For Kvatch!
For Kvatch. I remember back in the day that I liked this quest so much, but I've done it so many times now that it's been a while, but still. Do you think a Dragon Break would be used for ESO to negate the inconsistencies? Probably. I mean, Elder Scrolls Online has had so many inconsistencies now. Like, their questlines are a lot of fun, I have to say, but I think that there will definitely be, like, the last DLC for the Elder Scrolls Online, because at this point, there's a chronological order in which you should play them. I think that the last DLC will introduce something which will make a Dragon Break. The last story DLC, that is. They might still be, like, little... I want to say eShop, but Crown Store DLC. I hope Akavir plays a small part in Elder Scrolls 6. Well, sure. I'd love to at least see more lore on Akavir in Elder Scrolls 6, but I can't really see it playing a bigger part in the story. But we'll see, maybe. Are the Argonians a threat to the Empire if the Great War breaks out? Will they pick a side? Asks Fumark. I don't think they will actively pick a side unless they get offered something in return, because the Argonian government right now, the Angselil, they are very nationalistic, but at the same time also very isolationist. Meaning that they don't want to have anything to do with the rest of Tamriel. The rest of Tamriel can just rot to hell when it comes to their opinion. So, no, I don't think they will actively pick a side unless someone offers them something in return for it, which they really want. At Imperial Knowledge, would you like it better if the Elder Scrolls 6 started right at the beginning of the Second Great War? Or right in the middle of it? Rather after it, if Bethesda will continue using the same engine. But if they can get a war to look proper, for some reason, I would love to have it in the middle of the war. Do we have any idea how long they want to support and keep releasing the DLCs for ESO? Asks Periodics. It's something I've been wondering myself. Will they just facelift the game for the new generation of consoles, or will they drop it? It's something I've been wondering myself. I think that they will drop it, because at this point, from what I've heard from some players, is that especially on console, it's not that alive anymore. Like it's not. The population is not that big anymore. Mr. Help there. I can't pronounce your name. Can you please not spam the dragon language? Just otherwise I'd have to mute you, and I don't like muting people. Could one of the quests in the Elder Scrolls 6 going to be a return to Artaeum and asking for the Sejiks to help against the Thalmor? It could be, but I think that after Elder Scrolls Online took us to the Sejik Isles, I don't think it will. Like, something that has always been interesting to me is that ever since, like, they did one DLC in Hammerfell, but after the first DLC in Hammerfell, ESO just didn't do any DLCs in Hammerfell anymore. And I think that is because then Bethesda started planning for Elder Scrolls 6, and they were like, you know, lay off Hammerfell. So I don't know where I was going with this thing anymore. Oh yeah, right. I don't think that they let ZeniMax use things that they will start using in the Elder Scrolls 6, and fairly recently they used Artaeum in Elder Scrolls 6, so I don't think we'll be seeing Artaeum. I might be completely wrong. I mean, I'm just a fucking idiot on the internet, but still, it's possible. In the Redguard next question. In the Redguard comic, there was a part, a Kaviri character who could be regarded as a Nibonese right now. That's true. I actually have a physical copy of the Redguard comic here. I should read that again. What do you think happened to the vampire castle in Blackreach from ESO to Skyrim? I have no idea. I haven't played the ESO Skyrim questline yet, and when I saw it, I was like, uh-oh, this is gonna create some inconsistencies. But we'll see. We will see. Straight Up Iris said, you absolutely did. You recorded my statement, and thank you, Mr. James. Have a good day yourself, too. Let's see. I hope you recorded that. What are we doing here? I always get lost because I keep focusing on the questions. Let's see. Rescue Martin and the other people of the chapel. Yeah, we For the Elder Scrolls Black Marsh, do you think it would be better to have a more survival game Elder Scrolls spin-off? I don't know. It could work, but I don't know. I'm not a game designer.
We wipe the bastard. It's
ZeniMax owns Bethesda. Wouldn't they be the ones to have the final say on everything? Yes, but at the same time, ZeniMax Game Studios will also listen to Bethesda Game Studios because they are the ones who have created the Elder Scrolls, and they consult with them on lore and consult with them on stories. Do you reckon we'll see Castle Volkihar in the new Elder Scrolls Online DLC? I really hope we won't. I don't know. I really hope we won't. I think we will, but I really hope we won't, because I would like Serana and Harkon's backstory to be left untouched. Will there ever be a new Vegas Elder Scrolls game? I mean, technically that's Elder Scrolls Online, since it's done by another developer than Bethesda. And of course Elder Scrolls Legends, which is also not made by Bethesda. But if you mean an open world Elder Scrolls game, I don't think so, to be honest. At Imperial Knowledge, if the dragons were already resenting Alduin and celebrated his death after the Dragonborns kill him, why do the Dragonborns continue to fight the Dragonborn throughout the game? That's because of their nature. Dragons are inherently, they want to dominate, and that's essentially what they continue to do. So, like, the dragons listen to a stronger tune, like to a stronger voice. And as Parthenax says, some of them subject to his voice, to his tune. But some also don't, and they are going out on their own and go follow their own instincts, which is to kill, to dominate, those kind of things. So yeah, now that I've finally have no more questions on my screen, at least, that I haven't answered, I know that I've missed a lot of them, we're finally going to continue with the story.
We've done it.
I love these facial animations, man.
I didn't really think this would work. Maybe we do have a fighting chance. I warn you, take a few moments to catch your breath and think it over.
Are the Shishas in the Elder Scrolls Online elsewhere canon? Yeah. At least I believe so.
Are you ready to...
Yeah, let's go.
I knew you'd be... Our goal is the cap... You know...
Well, Akatosh, that guy on across the street, Akatosh created the dragons in his own image. So, technically, yeah, he created them, but I don't know where I was going with this sentence, I'm sorry. Can humans live in Black Marsh? Yeah, they can. There are humans living in Black Marsh in the early First Era, in the Elder Scrolls novels. Which website is better for learning the lore? UESP, the Imperial Library, or the Wiki? I would say the Imperial Library, but the book section, because it documents everything so well. Like, I don't really like the whole lore discussions on the Imperial Library. I don't really take part in it. But they document everything really well. So I would definitely say that, because wikis and the UESP, the authors have opinions, which is why I really try not to use wiki articles, because in the end, the authors of those articles have opinions, and even if they try to remain neutral, they might always unintentionally slip something through. So I always try not to use the wiki. I use it sometimes for references, like where did they get their information, and then I just read the primary source. But I try not to use the wiki, because it's always possible that there's an opinion in there somewhere. Ben Deacon was willing to pay £5 to tell me something. Well, he didn't tell me anything. But thank you very much, Ben Deacon. You already asked a lot of questions, but you can ask more if you want. Have you ever tried alternate history in Elder Scrolls? I did, once or twice. And I didn't really like it to do it, because I like to research. Like, the thing that I enjoy most about making my video is doing the research. Like, reading all the Elder Scrolls books and just learning about the subject myself. That's not really possible when you do alternate lore, because you're basically making a fanfiction, if that makes sense. I mean, I guess it's fun, watchable content, it's just not like my ideal content to make, because I don't really like making it. Ben Deacon, both elemental cloak frostbite spiders of Hummuxhal and the spiders on Solstheim suggest animals are being experimented on for warfare. Is it new to the Elder Scrolls and could become more common? It's one of those things where... how do I explain this? God, where do I go again? It's one of those things where experiments are being carried out, but in the end,
Damn it!
that's where
This
it
is no good.
remains. Like, it's just experiments. We don't have any examples of it being used in warfare. It might be used in the future, but we don't have any experiments of it ever being used in warfare, just by like a single experimenter. What's the English word? Single scientist. God. Never really in any warfare. Holy Rollins, what skills would you like to be introduced / reintroduced in the Elder Scrolls 6 or be removed? Never really thought about this. I'd like the School of Mysticism to return, because I never really got why they removed that. Let's see, cancel
We
gate.
can't open that gate from out here. The only way to get into the gatehouse now will be
Through the
passage.
guardhouse.
Hurry and find Barrage Emian. What?
Alright, let's go back to Barrage. Because Barrage will have the key, and that key will be great, because we will be able to do what we need to do.
We saw the smoke from the Gold Road while out on
I always
patrol.
loved how these guys just
can we help?
barge in, like, how can we help? Okay, follow
We'll be
me.
on-
Like, these Imperial soldiers, they just listen to some random dude. I mean, I'm just a random dude, and he will just follow me.
I'm just
I don't know why. Guardhouse key.
I
What did I miss? Probably a lot. Should there be guns in the Elder Scrolls 6? No, not in my opinion at least. You can play Fallout if you want that.
do your worst.
Then Deacon, how did the farmer manage to acquire slaves, and what do you think they want with them? I don't really know. I've thought about it myself, and I was always like, why do they need them? I mean, they will obviously... Like, maybe for something... Maybe for tasks that actually do require sight, because the farmer are blind. Imperial knowledge, is the Black Worm cult still active in the 4th era, or was it destroyed by the Hero of Fudge? I don't believe it was fully destroyed, but if it's still active, we don't know about it. If the Daniel McCardle, if the Elder Scrolls 6 is more in the future, do you think there will be any world-changing events? I don't know. It's one of those things where it fully depends on Bethesda's design, not on me, on my opinion. I think I'm gonna stop the stream because I really noticed that I'm getting really tired at the moment. And my eyes start to hurt. Alright, so next time on stream we will continue with this. I'm sorry we haven't done Wii Sports. I know that I said we would do that, but I'm just getting really tired at the moment, which is not very good. Thank you all very much for watching. I had fun answering the questions, but I'm suddenly getting an immediate tired attack. I don't know how to call it. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next stream, which will probably be next week or in 2 weeks, depending on how my stream setup will be. God, I'm getting a headache. That's not good. Yeah, I will see you all next time, and I'll thank you for watching. And for the people that donated, I really didn't expect anyone to, and thank you so much. Like, I can't really imagine why anyone would donate, so yeah. Thank you all so much again, and I will see you all later. And before you go, there will be a video online within 2 minutes of this video. Within 2 minutes of the stream, there will be a video. I'm putting it online right now. Give me 1 second. Just 1 second now. Thank you, Cameron Foos. Very much appreciated. I know you, and if you want to give me a question... Oh god. Alright, it's not working from my phone to publish the video. I'll see you all in the next stream, or in the next video, or in 2 minutes in the video, like a virtual meet. Yeah, see you later.